If there's one comment I get a lot, it's you should test a Miele canister vacuum. So we bought the most affordable Miele, the Classic C1. But just testing it alone is kind of boring, so we're gonna pit it against the Kenmore Pop-N-Go 600 series. But you might say, Eric, that's not a fair comparison. The Kenmore has way more tools and it's cheaper. Well, you might be right. But right now on Amazon, they're both priced within $10 of each other. So the Kenmore doesn't have the price advantage anymore. The only way to solve this is to put them head to head in a vacuum showdown. Links are down below. Now, the first thing that I want to point out is everyone says Miele vacuums, they last forever. And I do want to point out that this is actually made in Germany, and there are authorized service centers near me. However, I just bought this and I've got no way to personally evaluate the longevity, so take that as you will. Now, on the other hand, I owned a Kenmore vacuum for about 20 years and I never had any issues with it. Now, they do both have 1-year warranties, and of course, the internet gives the big thumbs up to Miele for longevity. Now, this might be just a little bit of a lopsided comparison because the Kenmore, even though it's cheaper, has a head with a proper brush roll. Well, the Miele has a pretty basic head. So let's get into the testing and may the best vacuum win. Now this should be very interesting. The Miele has a 1200 watt motor, whereas the Kenmore has a 600 watt motor. Does that mean it's gonna be twice as powerful? The Miele also has a variable suction gauge. Let's start at the low end, crank it up, baby. In our suction testing, the Kenmore had 18 kilopascals. However, the Miele, with its more powerful motor, had 22, +1 for the Miele. In our airflow testing, both of them have excellent airflow and was beyond the capacity of our gauges to measure, so that means over 100 miles per hour. Let's look at one of the biggest differences between these two vacuums: design. Let's talk about design and features. They both have extendable wands, which is great for getting under beds and getting up to your ceiling. The Miele is an example of a classic, simple design. There's really not much to go wrong with this. You do get some simple tools, and that's pretty much it. The Kenmore, you've got a bunch of tools also, which I think are a little bit bigger and better. And this also comes with a pet hair tool. It's also powered. This thing is covered in pet hair. My cats have been on this for 2 weeks. So yes, there's a couple of tangles, not that hard to get out, but this did a better job, in my opinion, than any of the cordless pet hair tools that I've tested so far. This thing is powerful. The head on the Miele is quite simple. You've got a setting for carpet and for hardwood. When you press this button, the brushes pop up, give it a little bit more height to raise it off of the hardwood or the tile, which is what this is perfect for. However, if this head was a piece of toast, this would be basic white Wonder Bread with no jam and no butter. The Kenmore, on the other hand, has a powered brush roll. Now, it is a little bit on the heavier side, I will admit, but it does have a motor in here. It also has a belt to drive these bristles too. And you've got a height adjustment over here. Step on this and you can change the height of these rollers to raise it off the carpet or off the floor. This doesn't pop out, so you're gonna have to do a little bit of manual cleaning when it does get tangled, but this does agitate the carpet quite well. The Miele has a place to put your attachment right on the vacuum. Stylish. And the Kenmore also has all the attachments on board, including this Pop-N-Go floor brush.
Pop-N-Go.
For the same amount of money, the Kenmore just has a lot more tools and a lot more features. And so some degree with the Miele, you're paying for the reputation and probably the reliability. In our pickup test, we sprinkled 40 grams of sand on carpet. Then we ground it in, because that's how we roll. Then we vacuumed it up and we measured afterwards. The Kenmore was excellent. It picked up 100% of the sand. The Miele, with its non-rotating head design, picked up 93%, which is not bad, but clearly it's not agitating the carpet at all. This one goes to the Kenmore. We're gonna try vacuuming some shag carpet with the Miele, but I think it's not going to pass this cat scare test very well. Pussycat, he doesn't like the sound of vacuums too much, but we'll give it a shot. It's not very good on shag. It's very hard to push back and forth. And Enzo seems to be not too scared of it yet, so I guess it does pass the cat scare test. Sorry, Enzo, hope that wasn't too scary. Oh look, there's another one back there. Both of these canisters use bags, which is part of the HEPA filtration system. Now, Miele says that over 99.9% of the dust and fine particles are trapped inside the bag. And the Kenmore has a pretty similar system. It's got a very large filter in the back, which is also going to help you keep all the allergens inside the vacuum. This is bigger than the filter on a lot of other vacuums. To test it, we use smoke with particles that are about 0.3 microns. You can see the canister on the Miele let out no visible smoke, and the same thing with the Kenmore. One of the reasons why a bagged vacuum is almost always superior to one that is bagless is because you have to clean the filters on a bagless vacuum, and most people frankly don't. With a bag style, you just simply replace the bag every couple months, replace the main filter about once a year, and it is absolutely the best way of keeping the dust, the pollen, the dander, and all that kind of stuff inside the vacuum, inside the bag, and not in the air where you're going to breathe it back. Both of these vacuums are pretty good for getting under beds, although you get no LED light with either of them. One thing I love about both of these vacuums is that they have automatic rewinding cords. You just step on the button, and the cord goes back in. So convenient. They're both pretty easy to use on stairs. The Miele has a pretty light head, and when you want to move up the stairs, you just lift up the whole canister, place it on its butt, and keep moving up. Not much else to say. The Kenmore is also pretty easy on stairs. Now, you can't use the big head, but with the Pop-N-Go technology, you can use this smaller brush, and again, just like the Miele, you can pick it up, put it down on its butt, and move it up the stairs. The Miele might look similar to the Kenmore, but it's significantly lighter at just 10 pounds for the canister, whereas the Kenmore is about 15 pounds. Now, the Kenmore does have a heavier brush roll, obviously, so altogether with the wand and the brush roll, the Kenmore is about 23 pounds, whereas the Miele is only 12. But we're not done yet. You see, a lot of people use a cordless as their primary vacuum, even with a lot of carpet. So we put the Kenmore up against our top-rated cordless vacuum, the Dyson V15, on our shag carpet. We did multiple passes and tried to pick up as much dirt as possible. Then we vacuumed again with the Kenmore. And guess what? The Kenmore found some dust that the Dyson left behind. It just shows you that it's hard for a great cordless to match the performance of even a mid-priced canister vacuum. I think I've been pronouncing it wrong for most of this video. I think it's Miele, not Miele. But either way, I think it is a very good vacuum. And both of these vacuums are actually priced within a couple of dollars of each other, but we ultimately are comparing an entry-level Miele to a fairly high-end Kenmore, and that's the rub. I think it's a very fair comparison based on price, but if you look at features, the Miele is really not in the same class as the Kenmore. To match the features of the Kenmore, you'd need to spend about $100 more to get the C1 Turbo Team. That's got a powered head with a brush roll. And you'd need to spend another $85 to get the air-powered upholstery tool. So for a feature-to-feature match, you've really got to spend a lot more money. The Miele C1 Classic is an excellent vacuum. You need to decide if you want to spend the same money as the Kenmore to get the brand reputation, but sacrifice on features. It's an extremely well-reviewed vacuum, and if reliability is high on your list, probably it's going to be a good fit for you. There are links to both vacuums down below, including the Miele C1 Turbo Team, and there's another excellent vacuum video right over here. You should check it out. Thanks for nerding out with us today.